So hope there you go. Hello everyone, especially hi Alex. So today we're kind of like in our frequency community call. And today we have a little bit of a different agenda. We are going to be quite focused on our events and how frequency is kind of like coming and connecting with everyone in the world. And as you can see, the first part of this today is going to be focused on Korea Blockchain Week. We have Alex that she's going to introduce herself in a second, and we're going to kind of like go through a lot of things that happened during Korea. And we're going to have like really quick community updates. And Shannon is going to join us for that one. And of course, we're going to leave at the end some open questions time. So if you have anything to ask, that is amazing. But this month, like we didn't want to kind of focus so much on the technical side of things. We want to kind of like shake things up a little bit on these community calls. So we're going to get with that. So that being said, oh, yeah. Okay. Well, then I'll jump into that, like making waves in a second. But let's start with Alex. Alex, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you doing, Diego?
I'm doing fine. I'm doing fine. Is waiting for winter to come here to Sweden, so we will see how that goes.
You're waiting. I'm dreading. I am not waiting. I'm
It's one of these things
politely
that
dreading.
like you better kind of like be done with it, like jump into it. But apart from that, really kind of like Alex, why don't we start with the simplest thing? Why don't you introduce yourself, tell us who you are and why are you here?
Totally. So hello everyone that is joining on Discord later and people who are live tuning in right now. My name is Alex Pochente and I am an advisor to Frequency. I help on the marketing side, the BD, the strategy. But yeah, I've been with the project and Project Liberty more at large for the past couple of years. Super excited to tell you about the event we just hosted a couple weeks ago. Also, for reference, Diego and I, the last time we saw each other was eating KBBQ in Seoul, South Korea. So this is a great second convenience.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. It was great to kind of like meet with a lot of people from the team. Like when you're working virtually, sometimes you spend months upon months talking with people and then you don't get to see them in person. So it was great to kind of like be there, not just for the event, but also to kind of like connecting with everyone on the team.
Totally, totally agree.
Yeah. So let's start with like what is Korea Blockchain Week. So, like, just to give context, if you guys didn't know, that was a big event that happened in Seoul between September 22nd and 28th. And today we're going to discuss a little bit like the presence that frequency had during this time. So let's start with the simplest thing, kind of like a around like what was kind of like the presence that kind of like we wanted to have there at the Korea Blockchain Week. And what do you think it would kind of like were your general impressions of the event?
Yeah, so I have a ton of thoughts. I'd say high level, I'm super bullish on the future of crypto, especially like in Asian burgeoning markets right now. Korea is obviously one of the epicenters of it, but the amount of people that were at the conference was absolutely insane. Diego, you were inside of it. There, people queuing for hours to meet with teams of projects inside the actual venue. It was really really cool, especially comparing it to conferences maybe a year ago on the exact same date. So I'd say high level, it was super engaging. There was a ton of buzz, which is great. And then how frequency showed up specifically is we really wanted to create space where we could, become face to face with our community, show gratitude toward the people in it, and yeah, it's a place where we had developers, founders, investors, industry leaders all come together and convene for a few different events. I'll talk about them later, but yeah, that's
Yeah,
high level.
absolutely. And well, as you can see, kind of like in the slide that I'm using, we are going to discuss a little bit like the main event. That was kind of the first day. Then we're going to go into specifically Frequency House, which I think it was a lot of fun. And then we're going to go into making waves. So I think this week in particular, I think the timing is great because we just released the first episode for making waves. So we can talk a little bit more about that. But let's start with like the main conference. So what was kind of like Frequency's main goal at the main conference? Like that day, like you mentioned, it was incredibly busy, a lot of things going on. So what is it that we wanted to do there?
So we had a few different ways that we showed up. On the one hand, Sheila Warren, who's in our ecosystem, she spearheads PLI, Project Liberty Institute. She was speaking main stage, which was an awesome conversation. A lot of the conference was centered around political discourse and how policy regulatory frameworks might be changing it. I'd say some of the biggest takeaways from my vantage point. One, and I don't know if anyone on this call is familiar, but like the Maps app that they use in Korea, one of the main ones is called Naver or Naver. I'm not sure exactly how you pronounce it, but that's what we use to get around. Like Google Apps or Google Maps doesn't really work. Apple Maps doesn't really work. So you have to, in essence, download Naver. At the conference, they announced that Naver had acquired Dunamu, which is the operator of the major exchange Upbit. Implication there is that we're going to see super apps developed that have geolocation services, maybe some stablecoin functionalities, the ability to use crypto inside of your map platform. There are also social components in the app. So I'd say that was a really interesting move and news announcement made. The other thing too, one of my colleagues, Claire, mentioned as she was sitting in the different audiences, kind of just observing people watching. In international conferences, you typically have, whenever they switch languages, right? A lot of the speeches were given in either Korean or English. You have a high amount of churn or turnover of who's actually sitting in the audience. And at this year's conference, people were sat, like people were engaged. They didn't move. They were, reading the transcripts of the different presentations. So I'd say on the whole, it feels super vibrant. It was absolutely packed. I was unfortunately not inside the whole conference. I was outside recording what we hope to be a viral series, which is Are You a Freak? Which like FREQ, in line with frequency. Anyways, so check that out on Twitter. We have a few videos going up about it. But yeah, I'd say those were my main takeaways. It was totally buzzing.
Actually, that's like exactly how I kind of like met you. I had been kind of like inside of the event most of the day, and then at some point I went out to try to skip one of the lines, and that's when I was like, I think I know this woman. I think I've seen her in some of our calls, and yeah, you were kind of like recording there, so that was kind of like fun to meet you there.
That was amazing.
But then talking about like that day, you already mentioned some of them, but do you have any other highlights that you think, like I don't know, caught your attention during that day?
I guess another big piece of the conference that I was a little bit surprised by is, or rather just like being in South Korea. It's a place where, they export so much content. They export K-pop, they export entertainment, they have K-dramas. It's a really just like a centralized hub when it comes to developing culture. And it was super interesting to see how that impacts the crypto scene as well. People working on projects that have to, resonate with the people inside of it. So yeah, I would say like the coolest thing to me was just seeing how involved the local community was in these projects. Obviously, Korea is also a hub when it comes to consumer crypto, so that was very present as well.
Well, you already kind of like have talk about this, but there are like different trends, different topics that clearly were standing out during the entire conversation, during the entire day there. Is there anything that you think kind of like overlaps or kind of like resonates with what frequency is kind of like building right now?
The conversations between AI and cryptocurrency are obviously just going to become more and more present, right? When people start talking about how these LLMs are trained, where do those data pools live, who has ownership access, how is it recorded, how is it actually moved, right? I think there's a lot of opportunity to discuss ways that blockchain and AI will start working together more and more in the future. That was a big point. But I mean, throwing the question back to you, Diego, as a developer, what was your take on the topics that people discussed inside the conference?
Well, one thing that was kind of like really interesting to me was that in many ways in other conferences, uh, it kind of like felt that crypto was still kind of like almost a niche thing. So, that it was kind of quite focused on developers and people that are on the DeFi space. But a lot of the conversations that were happening in Asia, and I don't know if this is kind of like an indication or just all Southeast Asia or just specifically Korea, but it was almost kind of like a given that it was mainstream, that almost a lot of people were kind of like they were on the kind of like the plan, and that they were kind of like interacting with crypto one way or another through games, which obviously is incredibly big in South Korea, or through kind of like other, like platforms and things like that. So I thought that that was quite interesting. And apart from that, I think it was kind of like just the energy, like you kind of like came inside of any room, and it not only was packed, it was incredibly busy, which I saw a little bit last year, like in Talking 2049, for example. But also kind of like the energy that everyone was kind of like having, like you said, paying attention to what was being said, kind of like trying to figure out like what's the next step, what is coming out of this.
Right. So even like outside of the conference, there were people like dropping and launching tokens. There were massive content creators when we were recording content outside. There was a big like reality TV star that was just coincidentally walking by, and he was one of the people that we interviewed. Anyway, yeah, so it was such a hub when it comes to anything consumer and tech. It did feel embedded in mainstream technology adoption. It didn't feel like a niche crypto element. So yeah, I completely agree. Another thing too that I think was relevant across the board is that most successful projects are leading with community and like a community centric ethos. That's what I saw with every single project, right? Especially because the commoditization and how easy it is to actually launch a coin, the people who don't rely on, bots or just like farming, right? They actually have a real voice and a real following. They're winning, they're crushing it right now.
Yeah, okay, that's great. Well, this is great. One thing that I'm going to kind of like include here is that I think in the next few days we're going to have a blog post that is going to give a little bit more information about what happened. So, and of course, at the end of this call, we're going to try to be fast about it and share the recording of this call. But yeah, there are like so many things that we want just to kind of like share with you. But on those lines, let's move to next day, Frequency House. So that was kind of like a side event. So let's start like, can you explain us what was Frequency House? I mean, of course I know what it was, but tell everyone else what it was.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to paint a picture for anyone listening to this recording or live. It was the Soul Brewery, 5 stories, like beautiful modern cement, massive windows, and we had different activations on the 3 floors available. The entire place was branded in like frequency signage. It was honestly like a complete production. On the first floor, we had a general networking space. The second floor, we had a dedicated developer hub. And then on the fifth floor, we had our recording studio. So at Frequency House, because we had so many high signal people that are, in our ecosystem or close to our executive team, we brought them in and interviewed, had 7 different live podcast recordings inside the Frequency House on the top floor. I don't know. Do you have any pictures, Diego, in this presentation? Or
No, I actually kind of like didn't include that, but yeah, like we're going to share that in the blog post.
Amazing. Well, things to look forward to. It's also all over our X account right now. So anyone who's curious, you can go and see the production. But it was like Netflix grade studio setup of, we had Luca Netz come in from Pudgy Penguins. We had Yacht from Animoca. We had a bunch of other speakers and fireside chat style with Sheila Warren and Braxton Woodham and myself, interviewing, moderating, and talking to these different founders. It was a jam-packed day. We also had a Labubu giveaway. Also, for people tuning in, we're doing a giveaway at the end of this call as well, which we can
Exactly.
talk
Yeah,
in a little.
yeah, exactly. And well, let's talk about it right now. Like, what is the giveaway? What is it that is it a surprise?
Well, I can just say it right now, but
Okay, sure. Go ahead.
why not? So we reserved some of the merchandise from Korea Blockchain Week to give to some of our community members that might not have been able to actually attend Korea Blockchain Week. And we will notify you. We're going to pick one of the random commenters on this video, announce it in Discord and X, and DM you from our official account to give you a prize pack. So yeah, basically tune in until the end. And then Diego, I'll let you manage who actually wins it, but it'll be lottery style
Well,
raffle.
one of the things that we wanted also to do, because I know that a lot of people end up watching the recording of the video, so we're going to kind of wait pretty much 1 week to allow anyone that goes to YouTube to kind of like also make comments there. And then next Thursday, quite likely it's going to be, so a week from now, we're going to pick for one of the comments or here live or in the recording, and then that's going to be the winner. So
Amazing. Love that. Also, like speaking of giveaways, we did about $2,000 worth of giveaways to our community members who attended KBW. And the dev session that Diego, you led, we have, I believe you have it recorded.
I think part of that is recorded, although I wanted to kind of like improve it, especially just to make it better. But well, yeah.
Amazing. Well, it was amazing as is. But yeah, that was another highlight of the space. It was
Yeah.
really just to be a hub where anyone could come in, come out, and for us to really just show support to our community.
Yeah, absolutely. And well, since you did mention it, I'm just going to cover that part a little bit. Now, one of the things that happened there at Frequency House is that I had the opportunity to do a technical presentation around like what is frequency. That was kind of like obviously the first question, but because I wanted to make it a little bit more useful for any developer that may have been curious about frequency, we were kind of like covering some of the basics, some of like the language that is being used, and especially helping you to become a provider. So like I was recording like all the steps there, kind of like showing you like all the things, and afterwards guiding people like, okay, well, this is where you're supposed to go in the documentation to kind of get started, and of course start building your own applications if that's what you wanted to. So it was kind of like a little bit of a deeper dive of why frequency is different, some of the things that make that difference like really valuable for developers, and how to get started. So that's something that I really like, because I think sometimes I see like the technical part of like frequency, and then I don't have so much the opportunity to go and talk about it. So this
That's
one was kind of like me geeking out and just kind of like putting a presentation just about that, you know?
awesome.
But apart from that, what else did we do in at Frequency House?
So I'll talk a little bit more about the production studio. One of the things that we very intentionally did is worked with a local production company or a community of like people on site who lived in South Korea to actually come in and help run the set. That was one of the highlights to me, was just having both combinations of teams working together to make this thing possible. Some of the conversations that we had, all cherry pick conversations with Luca. I moderated that discussion and was in that recording. We're also posting all of these on X and Spotify. So people who are interested in tuning in over the next, yes, this is call to action. You can scan this code and this will take you to the podcast that we are rolling out, called Making Waves, where we talk to key industry leaders, people who are building, next iterations of tech, whether that's in Web3, crypto, AI, infra. We cover quite a bit of range. Consumer, I mean, Pudgy Penguins is technically like IP media, Web3 entertainment, plush toy. Anyway, but I'll speak to the one conversation I had with Luca. I loved talking to him about how strong the Asian market is in terms of like using it as a fulcrum to expand, right? When you have a project that's doing really, really well in the rest of the world, tapping into this market has just been an insane unlock for him. I loved his perception on, amidst the ease of launching your own coin, the way to win is through building an audience. And I think like the way his team is tackling it with entertainment. They have, for reference, y'all are going to hear this on the episode, but they have a movie coming out. They obviously have a super popular game right now. They have plush toys that they sell in Walmart. They are absolutely crushing it when it comes to the IP, object permanence. Like, it is in people's eyes, it's on their computers, it's on their phones. People are seeing these penguins. So it doesn't rely on necessarily like the token price fluctuating. Also, teasing the episode, he dropped a pretty spicy take on what success would look like what his goal is by the end of the year. So I'm not going to say exactly what it is, but y'all can
Yeah.
listen to it.
Yeah, that
Um,
I actually kind of like listen through that one. And since we were kind of talking a little bit about podcasts, well, of course, this is the QR code, so you can go and listen the first episode, which I do have like the kind of the splash image for that one that is already in Spotify. I will get back to the QR code in a second so anyone can check it. But this one in particular is kind of like great for anyone wanting to learn more about global regulatory environment for digital assets. And we're going to have more in the upcoming weeks. So then just kind of like go again, going to go back to the QR code. This is where you can find it right now on Spotify. And if you are interested in making waves, again, Alex already mentioned that conversation with Luca, but we had kind of like more with Alessandro, like the pin in motion, pixel to protocols, like which obviously that's one that I'm going to bookmark when it's released, evolving the gaming experience. It's something that I'm really into. So I really want to listen to that one.
Yeah,
But
I'm
yeah.
curious, Diego, did you have a chance to listen to any of the other recordings?
I have kind of like heard half of all of them, but to be honest, I wanted to almost follow the same thing as everyone else, so kind of like have that same schedule. Unfortunately, I do know when each one of them is going to be released, so I've just kind of like had the teasing parts. But especially, I was sitting the one with Luca. I was kind of like listening to what you were saying, that you were moderating that one. That was such a great conversation. I really loved that one.
Yeah, I think he has such a strong idea about like what it means to win in consumer that is lost on a ton of crypto projects. So yeah, I think he's just an incredible orator as well. But yeah, y'all tune in, set your notifications on for the Making Waves on the Frequencies official X account, and we should be rolling them out over the next few months, every other week. So like Diego said, we have the first one out now.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. But well, going back a little bit to Frequency House, what was the happy hour? Did anything fun happen during that time?
So the happy hour was really just us bringing together, we had the organizers of Korea Blockchain Week there. We had big founders, big investors, people from major projects like SWE were, attending. Anyway, it was awesome. It was really just a space for us to talk to people, kind of highlight what's happened at the conference, everything throughout the day. And we also had a Labubu giveaway because we were in South Korea. It had to happen. We did a random raffle and there was one lucky winner of a Labubu. Um, yeah, so that was probably the highlight of the happy hour.
Okay, there you go. So apart from that, kind of like really kind of like to wrap it all up,
Yeah.
what do you think was kind of like the impact of our presence there, and perhaps like I don't know, your key takeaways or next steps, whatever you kind of want to focus on.
Yeah, I think the main takeaway is like this is the first of many international expansion events that we're going to be doing and activations around the world to get Frequency's name out there. So I was super excited that we have like officially entered the Asian market and actually like put our team on the ground there to meet with people. The next step for me is I really 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 want to get involved with local communities and local projects in the different spaces that we're going to be attending, right? So we're going to have presence at Dev Connect. If anyone is based in Argentina and has, aligned projects, to let us know. At any future conferences, yeah, I'd say like getting involved with localized players is the absolute goal. That was one thing, when you enter a new market, it's obviously super nascent. We don't have a ton of, exposure in it yet. So I'd say that would be the main takeaways. I'm really excited to work with, more
Okay.
stuff next time.
That's perfect. And apart from that, we closed it, like you said, with the Korean barbecue, which was awesome. And I loved
Yeah,
it.
that was the other highlight. KBBQ with the team. We have a super stellar cast of people between like Project Liberty Institute, and Frequency, and it was really nice to just all be together, pushing the narrative of frequency.
Okay, well, that's great. I don't know if there's anything else that we would like to kind of like showcase there. Besides that, there's an upcoming blog post. We're going to have a kind of like some winner next week when we kind of like have well picked the comment from this conversation and also in the recording, and that well more to come, right?
100%. The other thing is follow Frequencies X account as part of it. Join our Discord. We're super excited to engage with everyone in our community. So yeah, thanks for having me, Diego. Appreciate it.
No, thank you very much, Alex. It was really great. Okay, so then moving forward with a little bit the other parts of our agenda, I'm just going to kind of like try to get to the main activity. So I guess I'll better kind of like get out of the presentation. We always kind of were checking some of the frequency and metrics here that we have. And of course, you can see the new user activations. graph activations, the content feed users, and of course they are kind of like growing month to month. But it is kind of like a good time to have it here during the community call. And then we are going to, let me go back here. I think, well, I don't know if we have right now Shannon. I think she was having a little bit of like trouble connecting. If she can like chat participants, let me see. If I have Shannon, Shannon is raising her hand and is allowed to talk. Perfect. I actually kind of found it. Talking permitted. And
Okay.
yes, I'm sorry. I don't know exactly what happened. You should be one of the panelists, but you're appearing just as one of the attendees. So I sincerely apologize for that, Shannon. But I know that today you had something to share with us around like TechCrunch.
Yeah, thanks. So I'm Shannon Wells. I'm one of the blockchain team developers. I will be helping to staff the Polkadot booth at TechCrunch Disrupt at the end of the month. And that is October 27th through 29 at Moscone Center in San Francisco. So if you are in the city by the bay that week, please stop by and say hello.
And I sincerely
Thanks.
love to kind of like share this because it kind of like goes quite in line to what we were doing in Korea, like going to different crypto events, going to like Web3, where the Web3 developers are, and really kind of trying to have these conversations. So I sincerely appreciate that. And quite likely, Shannon, I'm just going to give you the heads up. Most likely during next month's community call, I may ask her like how it went. Like I think sometimes people cannot attend, they may not be close to where these events are happening. So it's really good to give everyone the opportunity to learn what's going on.
Oh,
Um, this,
absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, I'll definitely already been asked to take some photos, and so we'll have some photos and I'll have an update ready for you next month.
Okay, that's awesome. I sincerely appreciate it. So right now we're kind of like in the openings question. Look, I don't know if we really kind of like have anything in there, but I'm just going to move forward again to the QR code for making waves. So if you didn't check it the first time, that is our podcast. The first episode is already kind of like there, and you heard Alex kind of like teasing some of the upcoming episodes, but you can get started with the first one, which again, if you didn't see before, Crypto and the Law. I think that's kind of like an awesome title, and I think it concerns a lot of the people that are in the space. So if you want to kind of check this episode that is already available on Spotify, then you just kind of like have to follow this QR code. Besides that, I'm going to check right now if there's anything in the chat or if anyone wants to raise their hand and ask any question, any of the panelists, any of the attendees, you are more than welcome to kind of like raise your hand and see where it goes. If not, well, like I'm going to also move forward and just kind of like announce it for the next frequency community call. So like you guys may already know, it's the third Thursday of every month. So in this case, in November, going to be the 20th of November, right before kind of like holiday season. So if you guys want to kind of come, we're going to try more changes during the community calls so to make it a little bit more interactive, to make it a little bit more entertaining and engaging. And we hope that you like it. You already kind of like see the times here. And just in case, well, if you have any questions, if you don't have them for today, let's prepare them for the next community call or even kind of like reach out on Discord. That's kind of like a perfect opportunity for us to prepare and give you proper answers for any technical or non-technical questions that you may have. And since I don't see any other kind of comments, I think we can leave it for today. It was kind of like quite an interesting conversation, and I think we can see each other next month. To stop, I'm going to